Hey, and welcome. Hey, and welcome, you guys. Thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you again. Before we get started, please do all of the things. Like the video, it is a free way to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Comment down in the comment section sharing your thoughts, but keeping it cute. And speaking of sharing, share this video when you share your videos because sharing is indeed caring. And if you want to put a little something in the tip jar, child, times is hard. Cash App and Venmo are there for just that. Now we're here for another episode of Belle Collective Birmingham. It's episode 2, y'all. Season 1, episode 2. Tiff happens. Hey, baby, and does it? We're going to get into it. I had my feelings on the last episode and we talked about it, but we're just getting to know these people. So, um, should I hit you with? We'll use this. We will use this one that has all the ladies. I think we're getting to know who everybody is, so I don't think we need to specifically see their faces, but like I said, I'm at a slides girl. I just got the same ones from last time with each of the ladies on them. So in this episode, we are picking up where we left off, and we are at that pre-release party with Amber telling Kayla she didn't speak to her when she came in, and Kayla being confusion, baby. She's like, I don't recall that. Like, I wouldn't intentionally do something like that. Like, I thought I spoke to, everybody. And Amber in her head was like, she had two opportunities at this event, and essentially this is strike two. She really not letting it go. She's keeping it cute with her words, but we can see that she's like, mm. And Stormy really don't want to have this conversation, truth be told, but we make a reality TV, so here we are. And she's letting the two ladies talk it out. And Amber essentially is like, listen, it's okay. And, they're talking about doing lunch, but like I said, Amber ain't over it. And I'm fine with it. I just, cause my feelings about Kayla, we working on it. So I was kind of on Amber's side with this one. However, we do need to move on with things. One thing we cannot do in a reality show is sit in one space for too long with no resolution, because child, we'd be tired. We'd be tired, we'd be exhausted. So Stormy gets up there. She thanks everybody for being there and, all of the things. She has a little speech, and it's 10 days to the live stream, y'all. So the episode is called Tiff Happens. So you know it's going to be Tiff heavy. So we're with Tiffany. And why don't she spell Tiffany that way? Tiffany and Kayla. See, I said those was my... Okay. And the way they spell these names, I digress. She is having a couples game night. Okay. Let's not forget that word, couples. So her and her husband, I believe his name is Willie. They're talking about the canvas party, and they're just, chit chatting, making small talk. I don't know if this is one of their properties they were in, but they're just having conversation. And she's so excited. She said, "Oh, I'm so excited. We're going to launch our new website." And I was like, girl, she's like, extra, read all about it. She's like, "And our products." And I was like, "What are your products?" We, find out in the conversation that they got t-shirts, baby, they got hats. Everybody got t-shirts and hats. Trying to get me some t-shirts and hats up on something and get it moving, but we shall see. So she was talking about, because I remember when I was asking you, like, how you knew you loved me, if you had butterflies in your stomach. That man said back then he ain't had no butterflies in his stomach, even though back then does not seem like that long ago. He's like, he just made a decision to choose her. And she realized that love is a choice. And I mean, yes, love is definitely a choice. And it's something you have to actively work at if you want it to work. But yeah, this doesn't sound very romantic. Like, do you like the lady or nah? So now they have a line called choosing, and I thought that was cute because he chose her, and then sometimes the pick me shoulds, they want to be chosen. Not saying that this lady is a pick me. I'm just making a general statement, child. They'd be like, "Ooh, we got our own clothing line," but the clothing line seems very, husband wife type oriented, because when we saw the t-shirts later, it was like, "I choose my wife every day," or something like that. The t-shirt said when they was having the couples game night. So we moved from that conversation where the man ain't had no butterflies, but he chose her, and they got to choose to do this every day. Child, what's her name? Tiffany is saying that the kids are getting older, and so she wants another baby. I think the kids were 12, 10, and 2, if I'm not mistaken. And Sarah's like, ugh, it's that 2-year-old. That's what's doing it for him. So I think her child, her daughter is 12, his son is 10, and then they have the 2-year-old together, which is more than enough. Although I get it. I didn't want 4. I didn't really want an odd number of kids. But here we are. At some point, you just gotta let it go. My situation is a lot different than hers. But that man said he was honestly thinking about getting a vasectomy. And I said, oh, yikes, you hate to see it. Can we say that they are not on the same page? And no sooner than I could type it in my notes, she clocks it and she is not happy that they're on the same page. And she's kind of encouraging him to reconsider. And Sir was giving no, okay? He was giving no, and I wasn't mad at him. And it's not a Tiffany thing. It's a if the shoe were on the other foot and it was the man pressuring the woman, we would have a whole fit. So if that man don't want to have no baby, I don't know. Conversations y'all should have had before y'all get married. It sounds like y'all kind of rushed into things, but we're gonna move on with it. So Stormy and Trey, okay, she said, that's her little her support animal. Okay. They arrive at Fumi's house, and I said, why don't you ask that Fumi if you could bring that baby with you? Puppy. Let me not say baby for y'all get all, and so they're talking about how great the party was, and everybody was welcoming except Tiffany. And I'm like, yeah, she was throwing you a little shade too, girl. So Amber comes in and she's like, oh, she loves her because she says the same thing. She tells Amber the same thing about Tiffany. And Amber's like, oh, I love her. She's probably just getting adjusted. It was a campus party. It was the first time. And she says in the confessional, like, she's not that girl, talking about Tiffany, give you the shirt off her back or whatever she was saying, child. And they're also friends. She's part of Tiffany's prayer group, so that's like her homegirl. So you want to defend your homegirl, I get it. I don't agree, but that's your homegirl, so obviously, definitely, go with that. That's what you want from your friends. You want your friends to have your back behind your back, okay? Not just in your face. But baby, when Tiffany comes in, she's giving hugs. Trey says otherwise, okay? Trey says not today, okay? Not today. And she's like, ooh, I'm gonna just give you an air hug from over there. Because baby Trey got to growling. Tiffany don't like dogs, and the dogs don't like her. I said, Now, when I was in a weekly huddle yesterday, Nita was talking about this, and I hadn't seen it yet, but yes, sis, I agree. Pay attention to them dogs and them children, and when they don't like people, take heed. So then Tiffany's like, Fumi, are you taking coats, baby? The look on Fumi's face is like, do I look like I'm taking? Yeah, girl, I'm taking coats. Fumi is saying, I think it was on confessional, that her and Trey is on the same page, okay? And Stormy in her confessional was saying she stands with Trey, okay? Whatever Trey says, Trey, it goes, essentially. Same thing, children and dogs. If he say it ain't right, it ain't really right, all right? But Kayla arrived, and then Tiffany's friend, I forgot her name. I have it in my notes somewhere. And she's got the whole little spread, baby. She's got Nigerian food. She's got clothes from the try on and purchase. And I don't know what it was. The big deal with this was with this caviar, but she has them try. She calls it a bump, which, baby, that's when we say bump. Well, not we, because I don't do that type of thing. But when people say bump, fill in the blanks, we're usually referring to a certain thing, and that's how they had it on their hand too, child. That's what I see in the movies. And they were like, nah, it's more like a dollop because it was a nice size. Okay, I'm going a lot. So this was the caviar. So, she asked the ladies to try it. The ladies not really feeling it. I think Tiffany was the one that was holding it in her mouth. And maybe then they started talking about swallowing. I said, I can't say nothing because, sometimes when you get with your friends, the conversation get a little spicy. Now, I used to always be that way, but, sometimes. So Fumi's like, I didn't get an invite to your, game night, Tiffany. And she's like, is Sam here? And she's like, no. She was like, oh, that's probably why you didn't get an invite. It's a couples thing. Okay, girl. And I get it. It's your event and you're entitled to host it or have it how you want it. So if you want it to be only a couples event, it could be an only couples event. What can I say? But I just know in this environment and we're on a show and we're trying to forge friendships that it's going to be an issue. But In our private lives, it is what it is. So Amber is kind of hosting to take the pressure off of, I'm gonna say Kayla, Tiffany, so she can enjoy herself, and she's gonna be at the door. So Stormy says her man isn't coming, so she could be at the door too. And Boomy's like, me too. And Tiffany's like, nah, see, you're doing too much. I don't want y'all all at the door. But Fumi wants to come. Kayla says she won't be there in attendance because I ain't got no man. I ain't married. Well, she didn't say she ain't got no man. She's like, I ain't married. And Fumi was like, oh, I thought you were married. And she was like, no, girl, I am a divorce. Okay. But she thought that the man at the party was her husband, understandably so. And so she apologizes. And then she's kind of like, well, I'm sorry. But congratulations. I'm like, I feel you because you don't know which way to go. Like, I'm sorry that I didn't know, but also, congratulations that you got rid of the negative energy. So the ladies are playing dress up in these Nigerian clothes, baby. Okay, looking mighty fine, hitting their model walk. Okay, and Fumi says that Stormy has the best walk because her and Trey, and her and Trey is kindred spirits now with the whole Tiffany thing. So Stormy invites the girls to the TikTok live, and Tiffany's like, she don't really like attention, and she's like, what about the day of your wedding? And we kind of see like flashback of her being out with Tiffany and somebody else, probably Amber, for lunch. So she had a viral wedding proposal and a viral proposal and a wedding the same day. And seeing her husband just a few scenes ago, I was confused. I'm like, that man don't even seem like he like it like that. And it's not even the vasectomy thing. It's just the butterflies and choosing you. But he liked you enough to propose and get married the same day. Is it giving popping circumstance? Y'all get down in the comments, and I was confused. Let me know if it's just me. And then she said she was supposed to be having something for his birthday. And then when she showed up, he had surprised her. It was him and her best friend, I'm assuming. And she said she loves a man who leads. And I was with Fumi. Fumi was like, I'm too type A, but I like that, he knew that about you. And she's like, I love that for you. And I love that for her too. Okay. Give a woman what they want. Okay. If that's what she wants, give the woman what she wants. So now she inadvertently had picked out her dress because her friend had got proposed to and they were trying on all these dresses, and she ended up putting her dress on layaway. So she ended up picking out her gown, which I love because, you kind of, when it comes to a proposal, I'm sure she gave him some type of idea about the ring. And now she had the dress picked because that's a lot. And I can't concede control in that way either. Hold on, y'all. Children's is children. And he got his iPad up, my iPad up loud. Hopefully y'all can't hear it and it's not too distracting in the background. So she says that they got pregnant on her honeymoon, and Stormy has questions, but she's like, I'm gonna behave right now because I don't know whether it was a Christian thing, because it can't be that she got pregnant too quickly, although that is, everything did move fast and people were kind of asking like, oh, we didn't realize that things had moved that fast. But it could be the Christian aspect, or the aspect of, are we trying to cover a prior pregnancy out? Is that up? Is that why we did it so quickly? Because some people will do that, particularly religious folks. I'm not saying that that's her story, and I'm not saying that's exactly what Stormy had questions about. Maybe we will find out down the line. So Tiffany, she gotta go. She gotta go get her kids, and as soon as she hit the door, or at least what we see, Fumi starts to tell the ladies again that she wasn't feeling Tiffany at Stormy's party, and she wonders if she should go to her event and address the "don't be stealing my best friend" comment. I think the best friend was still there at that point, and so the lady's like, yeah, go ahead. And she's like, okay, I'll just address it and leave. And I think it was her friend that was like, and if it goes well, you just stay. So I was like, I mean, I guess for a TV show we do that. In real life, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Don't come have that conversation with me. And I guess it's just TV related, because I don't even know if I would have had that conversation. Like, if we click, we click, and if we don't, we don't. If we're not gelling, we just not gelling. I mean, you give her a try, and if she's showing you some other things that you don't like, we move on. So Stormy's having a photo shoot for Lala, and they're going to be doing the advertising for Canvas featuring Miss Anthony. Okay, and she chats with Lala, and we find out. I mean, I think we found this out last episode too, but Lala kind of says it out loud for us to hear, that she's the one that approached Stormy to work with her, because Stormy had never even thought about working with a celebrity client. She was just going through her day, minding her business, growing her business, and doing all the things. And she hadn't even really thought about that. But Lala was so like invested in the company and loved her boss moves that she reached out to her, slide in the DMs, right? So she does, mention that she's worried about how these boxes are gonna come out. We don't see the boxes, so we're gonna get back to the boxes when we see the boxes, child. I'm assuming that's maybe next week because we'll probably have the TikTok live, so we'll get to see the boxes finally. But maybe the photo shoot goes really well. The body is bodying, the face card is just, all the things. And I'm like, I gotta go and Google and see what the final ad looks like. Because it looked really nice from what they did. So we see Kayla, child. She's over there at work. The babies are doing their modeling and everything. And she does seem to work really well with, children and be able to give them encouragement and cues and stuff that they need to get the photo. So, I'm happy about that. Now, Jason, as the older gentleman, he shows up and she tells us that he's in marketing and he lives in Dallas, so they have a long distance relationship. But ma'am is saying she is grown now. So basically the age gap, which I think she said was 17 years, is basically no biggie because she can't date no man her age because they don't know what I've been through. All my life I had to fight. Anyway, I was like, I'm hoping that this works for you because as I was saying in the last recap and Stormy was saying in the last episode, it's seeming a lot like repeating patterns, but she's saying how he's supportive to her and stuff with the co-parenting and that they've been together a year, which I think she's only been divorced for 4 months, but she's kind of, speaking to people are done with the relationship long before the ink is dry on the paper, which I totally get. But she wants to discuss it with the kids and I guess finally let the kid, I'm sure the kids knew, but finally have the conversation that like they have something more than a friendship and they kind of just, talk about doing that. We'll see how it, progresses. So Stormy has this Canvas creator boot camp, and she wants to do a little mid. She talked about that during the photo shoot, and she wants to do like a little midweek critique to check in with everybody, and hear how things are going. I think they're supposed to get like 500 pieces of content. I forgot what the time frame is, child. And so they start to kind of airing their grievances. I forgot what the guy's name is, but he's like talking to Faith. So we're gonna call him Faith and Glory. Glory's talking to Faith about hijacking customers because I think they were on the street and they were like getting customers to smell the different body butters. And then she kind of came over and was dealing with the same customer. And I kind of got what he was saying because, maybe they creatives and they sensitive about they ish, okay? But you kind of gotta don't come encroach upon what I'm doing. If the block is, long, because somebody was like, sound like a drug dealer. I'm like, yeah, if the block is long enough to be doing what you need to be doing. We didn't see the whole scenario play out, but homegirl is crying. She's upset. Why? She's like, why don't you say something sooner? Why you basically wait to get in front of Stormy to have this conversation? Like, we trying to have a moment. And he's like, no, I already have a following. So I'm like, this it's about to go to a place that we don't want to go. And Stormy's kind of, getting annoyed with it too. And she's like, she wants the critiques to be an opportunity for everyone to be heard, but and also to do, to be better with what it is they're doing. So, maybe she's going to have to do some group and some individual and, and figure out how to work it that way, incorporate both things. So it's not so tense. I get what she's getting at, but, sometimes we just have to explore other ways of doing things. So, baby, it's time for this couple's game night. And Amber is, taking hosting very seriously. She's there. Stormy arrives in her Nigerian garb. Okay, baby. She says she feels beautiful. Okay. Or beautiful, whichever one you want to sing. Okay. But she was not prepared to be picking up no trash because Amber's like, yeah, you got to, pick up the trash and do this and do that. And she was like, looking like, But we did see her pick up something while she was there. It's crazy. I'm like, what do y'all need? Like, I get taking the responsibility off of the true host, but why are you guarding the door? Is there an admission fee? It looks like there's only about a hot 4 or 5 couples there. So, I mean, we really could have done this at the house, but I get it, none of my business. So Tiffany's best friend arrives. I think her name is Sunita. Without her husband, baby, talking about, oh, he was tired. He had a long day. And Tiffany's face looked like she was annoyed, but it was her best friend, so she let her rock. Then Fumi arrives, a little while later. We know she wasn't bringing her husband. And of course, Tiffany seems annoyed because you're not my BFF. And I really didn't want you to be here to begin with because I didn't invite you, but here you are. And I think she really just, Fumi is getting the right vibes. She really just ain't feeling her. And it's just going to be what it is. So Fumi and Tiffany's best friend, Sunita, they're going to be a couple and they're playing a game. And they're doing this straw game. I forgot what it was called, child. Put it in the hole or something. And the men got the water bottle between their legs and the women got to bend down with the straw in their mouth. And it was seeming a little inappropriate for me. Like, it's not just a Christian thing. Me personally, I might just be a little prude, okay? It's not in my, what I do in the bedroom is one thing, but in front of a group of people, like, this don't seem like a good time to me. And Fumi and Tiff's friend, ends up winning. Baby, even Stormy was looking over there like, what is we doing? I said, child, I don't know. So Fumi finally pulls Tiffany to the side for a chat, and she's telling her about the whole best friend comment, and she's like, well, I don't really not remember. I don't really recall making that best friend comment. This is what Tiffany is saying. She's like, I'm not saying I didn't make it because if I said it, I said it, but I'm just saying I don't recall. And I'm like, this is going to the left, to the left. So Fumi's kind of like, everybody was very welcoming, but the vibe was kind of off. So Tiffany's like, listen, I own a room. Like, I'm very confident. Fumi's like, I'm not intimidated by your confidence. I said, I know that's right, Fumi. Because what are we even doing here? How did we end up there? How did we get here? How did we get here? I said, okay, Tiffany's not going to be one of the people that takes ownership. And if you don't like the lady, just tell the lady you don't like the lady. I don't remember said that, I wasn't really feeling you. We're in a group setting. We can be cordial. We can keep it cute. However you got to say it. I'm not going to tell you how to formulate the words. So Tiffany like wants to speak. She's like, are you going to let me speak? And she's like, Fumi's like, oh, okay. I realize, she overtalked her, baby. Raising my hand. That is something I struggle with to this day. Okay. Um, and then Tiffany's like, thank you. And that's kind of where we end the episode. And Fumi's laughing like, oh, no, she didn't. She did, child. She definitely did. So, what are you guys thinking about the show? Get down in the comments and let me know how you're liking the show, how you're liking the ladies, like, who your favorite ladies are, what your favorite part is, what you like to see. I'm gonna give Kayla some grace now. I was giving her a hard time, but after this episode, I said, we got to give these people time to, for things to play out and me to make a true opinion. So I'm gonna give her grace and reserve my opinion. Now, Tiffany is still on my list, baby. She's on it, okay? And it looks like it's gonna escalate, and next week is gonna be worse. And her and Stormy's gonna have words, and we're gonna see what it's hitting for. So, I have lots of thoughts. I didn't mean to make it this long, but I appreciate you guys coming through to check your girl out. And we will talk about it more in the next video. Peace out, you guys. Appreciate ya.